AC Milan out of the Europa League at the hands of Arsenal, but of course they're a club about so much more than that.
Oh, it's not a bad ball for Pelé on the right side. It's Carlos Alberto. And what a great goal that was!
Puskás áttől a védőkön, elesik, nem figyel a bíró, de hideg kutinával a lövés, gol! Bravo! Hideg kutinával al frente, tiene Burruchaga, se mete al área, manda sobre Pibercito, tira gol! ¡Golazo! ¡Golazo! ¡Portentoso! Bien bonito, bien fabricado!
On the 16th of December 1899, that Herbert Kilpin brought together all of his fellow collaborators, founder members of the Milan Football and Cricket Club. He said to everyone present, "Our colours will be red because we will be the Devils, and black because of the fear we will strike into the hearts of our opponents."
Yeah, it's time for Raiders of the Lost Park, our history segment where we look at how a club was formed, the amazing stories, how modern clubs and teams have somehow been formed, often in like a backstreet pub in another country a century previous. Today's story is all about a brilliant book called The Lord of Milan, written by Robert Nieri, and it's the story of Herbert Kilpin. Now, he was from a Victorian lace warehouse assistant, that's where he worked. Through a strange life, he suddenly became the founder of AC Milan Football and Cricket, yes, cricket club, a long way from where he began his life in that warehouse in Nottingham. It's an incredible story that's being made into a movie, and we just heard a segment of that movie there. It's being directed by Jared Wilson, who joins us right now, also a journalist with the Left Lion mag in Nottingham as well. Jared, how are you, mate? You all right?
Morning.
I'm good, thanks. Morning, Mark.
What a fantastic story this is. What a great movie this is going to be. Can you just tell us a little bit about what drew you to this story?
Yeah, so it was just this epic story from Nottingham, my hometown, and it was just so unbelievable when we found out the founder of AC Milan was born and lived here. For me, my old office was next door to the building he worked in, and I used to walk past his old house twice a day, which is a tiny, small little flat on the Mansfield Road, which is, really run down and, probably was on the market for about 100 grand or something. So it's this amazing story of this rags to riches thing that, that became AC Milan.
The great thing about the story is, it's about as Nottingham gets to claim these things nicely, is that most people will think Notts County is the history story in Nottingham, wouldn't they? Then that's probably where it starts and finishes. Turns out not.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's some really interesting links with Italian football, because obviously you pointed out Notts County and everybody knows about the Juventus strip. But obviously the AC Milan story and the founder being Herbert Kilpin, was a new story to a lot of people. The other interesting thing is that Tom Savage, who was the guy that gave this strip, we actually, while making the film, discovered photos of him and Herbert Kilpin, the founder of AC Milan, together. And bear in mind, this was a time when there weren't many cameras about, at the end of the 19th century, but there was a photo taken of them both in the same team lineup.
Now, the thing about obviously you're making this documentary, started with the short form version of that one there. You've been out there and you've been to Milan, and is the idea, and have you found to be the case, is that they know their own history and that they know about their founder and his backstory?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the average fan does, but there's a guy out there called Luigi La Rocca who basically had Herbert's grave exhumed. So he was buried, unceremoniously buried and lost. He died during the Second World War. But then in the late 80s, this guy, this researcher, kind of, brought him back to public awareness. And actually, Milan, for their centenary in 1999, they exhumed his grave and reburied him in the Monumental Cemetery, which is like this really posh cemetery in Milan. I know Cesare Maldini's in there now.
Can I ask you a little bit about, I find it amazing that someone like this would then go to another country and would found this this thing that's lasted
He's
for over
thought,
100
right,
years.
lads, you're doing this now. Yeah.
What sort of did he have a massive personality? Was he the kind of guy that would be waking up in bordellos at 3 a.m? Is he the kind of guy that loved fishing at the weekend? What about the man, Herbert Kilpin? What was he like?
He was a bit of a rebel. He was a bit like I think a few people have compared him to Roy Keane and others. I mean, in all the photos, he's got like a cigarette on. He had a hip flask with him. He on his honeymoon, on the day after his wedding, he actually went and just played football. He got called up last minute for an international select match, and so he left his wife and travelled across Italy straight after his wedding. He was a football obsessive, basically, is the truth, and a heavy drinker and smoker, and we're pretty sure that's what killed him.
Yeah, I am basically exactly. That's right. It's the hat trick. Yeah,
well, going to get you, isn't it?
Well done, sir. Well done. Now, you often hear these stories. There's a certain logic to it. That you'll hear about football teams that have been born out of Welsh miners travelling from Wales. This idea that they build out of works teams, don't they, Jared? I know that sounds ridiculous now, but football has to start somewhere, and the workplace would be the logical thing.
Well, that's it. I mean, the reason that Herbert went to Italy in the first place was because of the Nottingham's famous lace trade.
Right.
And there was, Italian and Nottingham kind of work exchanges. So that's why he went there. And obviously at the time, Notts County were a real football club and Forest were a real football club. But in Italy, they didn't know what this game even was. So yeah, I think, he never got paid for playing football. He founded that club, but it wasn't, it was just pure hobby for him. It was just what he wanted to do with his friends.
And from his point of view as well, did it remain, as you say, he was part of the club? Did he manage and play as well, or as the founding member, did he just basically then get back to work?
He was he's known as the founder. He was kind of their first coach, certainly, and encouraged people and showed them how to play football. But he made a point of giving away the roles of chairman and captain to other people. So it was his decision.
Well, local, like Italians, basically, Milanese.
Well, actually, the chairman was a guy called Alfred Edwards. He was a big cricket fan.
The least Italian name I think I've ever heard.
No, he was a guy from an English guy, but he was famous in Milan, a famous British guy. He loved cricket. He persuaded him to get involved because of the cricket angle, but that never really took off.
Funny that.
Yeah.
So with modern day Milan and modern day Italian football as well, what kind of remnants of his influence would we still see today at the club and across Italian football? So
what you'd see in the stands in the San Siro, basically, you would see like flags bearing his name, and there's kind of iconic pictures of him. You'd see that basically. You'd see like the stripes. He chose the stripes, which is obviously the red and black. You'd see that probably most of all. You'd see that they are called AC Milan, not AC Milano. So the name Milan is English.
Oh, of course.
So that was probably the most famous thing.
Was that ever controversial?
Do you know, I have always wondered that.
That is weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's some quite interesting history around it. So, I'd recommend people check out a book by an author called John Fort called Calcio. But Italians tried to reinvent football as Calcio, and there was a certain point. So actually, Inter Milan, the club, was founded out of AC Milan at a certain point when Kilpin was involved, because the Italian authorities tried to stop foreigners playing football. And at that point, that essentially retired Herbert Kilpin.
Because he was a foreigner and wasn't allowed to play.
Wow.
So basically, when it started getting bigger, then they stopped foreigners playing, and a new club was set up. Now Herbert Kilpin didn't join Inter Milan, but a lot of the other early, AC Milan people did, and hence International Milan.
Cheeky little legacy, though, isn't it? The anglicising of the name is there, is writ large forever. So he may be somewhere with a fag and a glass of whiskey, laughing through his giant waxy moustache.
What a moustache!
I hope so.
By the way, there's the nice spin-off is as well. The reason I found out about this story, and Tom will remember this, a couple of weeks ago, I turned up with a beer mat, because there's a brilliant little pub in Nottingham which is called the Herbert Kilpin, isn't there?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, we're celebrating it quite a bit in Nottingham. There's been a bit of a movement. I hope to have his house renovated.
Oh, superb.
And then, there's the Herbert Kilpin pub. There's talk of a trail. They might even name a road after him at some point.
Good.
And there's definitely a lot of, there's a lot of kind of English and Italian exchange. So we're actually starting the AC Milan fan club of Nottingham. That's a thing now as well.
Oh, that won't be a horrible road trip at all, will it, Jared? Very wise indeed. I can see that. And we should obviously as well mention the fact that Robert Nieri, who I think he spoke to Andy Brassel not too long ago on our European football show about this. He's helped produce the film, isn't he? But he's the man behind the book, The Lord of Milan, which apparently is told like the epic tale that it is.
Yes, I mean, basically, so essentially, I came onto the story 2 years ago. Robert's been working on it for 10. And his book's out now. It's an epic story. He wrote it as a novel in the end because there wasn't quite enough historical information to write it as a biography. So it's written as a novel, but you'll see other people appearing in it. Like, bear in mind that the person who wrote Peter Pan was around in Nottingham at the same time as Herbert Kilpin. That really did happen. That's not just writer's license.
That's right. There's the gardens, isn't there, up the hill there, which is J.M. Barrie's garden, all that business, isn't there? Yeah.
Indeed.
I love the style of this book because it's my favourite set of novels, the Flashman Papers.
Right, there you
which
go.
is the George MacDonald
Yeah,
Fraser
yeah, yeah.
series, and he implants this character into elements of history, and it's such an amazing character. There is enough true to make you learn something, but also enough imagination to make you interested in how and why he grew such an amazing moustache. And this has made us all want to grow moustaches.
Right now, see, I want
one so bad.
Well, because I like the two Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes films. I like, and Jude Law brandishes a wonderful tash in that.
Yeah.
So, is there a Nottingham actor that we can cast when they? Because this is the triptych now, isn't it? We've had the book, we've got the documentary. We now need the feature film from the book and the documentary. Is there a good Nottingham actor that'd be just the right man to be playing that? Then, Jared, is there? And I mean,
there's loads of good Nottingham actors. I think the actor that I'd pick, actually, who's not from Nottingham to play it, would be that guy out of Peaky Blinders, just because he does remind me of him.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a lot of photos. I don't mean Kieran Murphy.
The other one, the brother,
yeah.
yeah.
The guy who plays Arthur. I'll look into that and find out who it is. We'll see if we get him cast.
Because pretty much, every time if we talk for 10 minutes, we're already casting the film about whatever we've talked about. Is this what we do,
If
Jared?
you're listening, Paul Anderson, the actor.
Paul Anderson is
If you're listening right now, you're going to be cast in a movie we're somehow going to fund on this programme of The Lord of Milan. But Jared, first of all, there's the documentary. How do we see it, mate?
Well, it'll be on general release in October. There's a couple of film festivals that we've been through. So, I mean, we actually won a couple of awards in Milan for it at the first film festival. We showed it as well. It'll have another showing in Nottingham's Broadway Cinema this summer around the time of the World Cup. Hopefully a few more too. There might be one home in Manchester and in London, hopefully. And then after that, it'll be on general release. We'll be flogging it on DVD and download from October. Just in time for the 100th anniversary of his death. Or the 102nd anniversary of his death.
Close enough.
Jared, that's brilliant. Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers,
We're looking
Jared.
forward to seeing it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hello. Thanks, bye-bye.
What a great story. Lord of Milan documentary coming out. The book is out right now. I'm buying it on the way home from the holidays.
I love the idea that as a novel, you can just take so many liberties, can't you? It would just be so much fun. He's going to be a buccaneering hero,
You know, the other one as well that was brilliant at that was The Damned United.
That's true.
Which was such a
very
brilliant
good point.
book.
That's a very good point.
I like the movie, but the book, I know that the Clough family had some issues with it and all that, and that's fair enough. But as a piece of entertainment, imagining those elements, what Clough was like, and his rows with Johnny Giles and all that, I thought it was brilliant.
We're never going to get Sheen out of retirement, are we, to play Kilpin, are we?
We can try.
Sheen!
We can try.
Sheen, are you available?
He would be great.
Sheen would be good.
He's great in everything.
Frost,
that
good.
could really work.
Clough, good.
Yeah. Well, I said great. You've
Blair,
gone good.
good.
You seem less enthused.
No, I do hold a lot back, you know. I reserve great for other things.
The book, The Lord of Milan, is
Kilpin,
out right
good.
now. The documentary is coming out soon. Brilliant story. We'll have another Raiders of the Lost Park when we think of one.